In 3, 2, 1, and go.
Hello, everyone. We are back as Hagens Berman Action Cycling Team for another edition of Bikes, Camera, Action. I am Chad Childers. I join our director, Axel Merckx. And today we have joining us a rider from the second generation, Bontrager Lives Strong. He has won stages at Bink Bank Tour, La Vuelta. In 2016, he won Kern-Brussels-Kern. He started this season winning Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, rider from Trek Segafredo, Jasper Stuyven. Welcome, Jasper, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. Welcome, Jasper. We'll just keep it in English for the sake of Chad. Otherwise, he'll be left out through the whole conversation.
I would be totally lost.
Oh, well, normally we catch up in Flemish, but we'll make an exception for you this time.
Just for now, we'll do it in English.
Yeah, exactly. One thing, Chad, you didn't forget to mention. I'm sure you knew about it, but it's quite significant, and especially for Jasper, world champion as a junior in 2009, which as a Belgian rider, just opening a big can of worms. I can only imagine when you're a young kid, Belgian kid from Belgium, and you win world championships in 2009, the pressure that is on shoulders. Looking back, was that a good thing for you, or was that a bad thing for you?
I'm still happy that I won it, of course. But let's say, in Belgium, it is the home of cycling. It was, I could immediately feel and see how much that attracted media, teams, everyone who was following cycling knew that the Belgian won worlds as a junior. So I still like it, and has been a nice experience. Of course, it didn't give me the possibility to stay under the radar. That's definitely not the case.
Explain a little bit more. Like, I mean, I can relate in a certain way, but for different reason than you do. And I don't think people actually realize, like the cycling world is like being a football player in US basically, and you have a young rookie that wins and all the pressure. What does that? I mean, can you explain a little bit more? Like, is it like more interviews? Is it more people stopping you on the street? Is it a mix of both? What comes with it? And also, how do you cope with that pressure of being the next, Belgian hope for the classics for the future over the years as you go into categories and racing as a youth category?
I think one of the maybe benefits at the time was, first of all, social media was not as big. And second of all, at those years, the Worlds was not at the same time and place as the pro rider. So we had it in August. And I think those two things made it, like, interview-wise, a little bit okay. But of course, all the races I did since starting from that day, they expect you to win. You hear people on the side or mothers and fathers yelling to their kid, like, good job, you beat the world champion today. And that was maybe the day that I finished 30th, and they finished in front of me, and that was maybe the most important. And that actually went also continued when I went up to under 23, and I think there the same started. There were high expectations. I was also going to university at the time, so it was finding the balance. But I think I managed well there with going to Roubaix, but I finished second, I think, as a first year. But of course, even then they see, okay, this is a confirmation of what I showed as a junior, but they only expect more and more and more. And you always have to be up there. You always have to explain yourself when you are not up there. But I think it also made a good way of learning how to deal with it. And I have to say that when it's also one of the reasons that I was maybe even more attracted of joining the team at the time, to be away from that pressure. But when I look back now at it, I think I had the right balance between knowing how to deal or learning how to deal with pressure, and also using it as maybe the right motivation to actually get my results.
Well, you jumped into the next question, obviously, and you kind of stole the next question. Is like, you know, as you leave the junior rankings, and we are and as Chad said, it was a kind of a new generation for us. New generation. It was, I think, to 2012 is the first year that he came with us. To 2013, so 2 years. You and Jasper de Bus were the two first Belgians, and I mean, the two Belgians, the first time that I was able to persuade to come to our team, as you know, as we progressed and grew and we had great results internationally, and mostly with American riders. We had a few New Zealanders, we had Australians, and that went all well. I thought it would be a good idea to bring some more tradition into the team, and so I can upkeep my Flemish a little bit on the road. That's one of the main reasons. But I mean, I wouldn't say it was a struggle, but I was surprised, you know, like that you would come to us in a way, because we had some kind of reputation, but as I said, as a Belgian, there's so much options, and I'm sure there were so many offers that you could have taken. So really, why us? Why come to us?
I think we also talked in 2010, but then I didn't join the team the first year. I remember that, and I think I was maybe the start of a more international or European riders-based team. Because after that you had more Portuguese guys, other Belgians, and so on and so on. But I really like the idea. I always liked the idea of working towards a goal, and don't have to race every weekend, but just when you get close to the goal, be ready, have a good training, and then perform at that goal. And it's something that is hard to get that explained in an under 23 Belgian team, because there's every weekend a race, and it's one of the things that I liked about the team. And I think it's also one of the things you told me, that you prefer to work in that way. So for me, that was the right connection. And of course, you knew how it was to be under a lot of pressure, like you mentioned before. And all those things, I think, was it tempting to also discover the world. And I think Lawson also did his job to convince me and join the team. At the time in junior racing, I had a lot of close races with him, and but we also had we came along pretty well, and that I think really helped. And it also made me interested and just curious about what would it be. And you were building up a reputation in the peloton of having a strong team, being well equipped with everything, having good sponsors around, and all those things really made me jump into the team. And I think having you there as a Belgian, it was always good to be able to, you know, fall back on someone who speaks Flemish, and just to have that maybe feel like a little bit safe, let's say, at that age.
Yeah, I mean, it's like in a way, I wouldn't say home away from home, but like some kind of base that you can fall back on. But you and Jasper, both of you, legitimize actually our program in Europe. After you guys and after you, we became some attraction in Europe, because Europeans start realizing that there is a path that could be leading to the world tour that is different, but it's also could be just as successful. The pressure, what attracted me to have you on the team, as you mentioned, the pressure, you know, I've had a lot of pressure myself when I was young and when I was your age. The main difference that you was legitimized. I just had pressure, and I was just like expectation because what my dad did, which is kind of different but similar in a certain way. I would say for you, he's probably looking back at it like, well, it was all fair. And fairness, world champion as a junior growing up, everybody wants to beat you. But when you're a guy that doesn't win very much and get pressure on because your dad won very much, I mean that doesn't.
And they still
I know
beat you.
Yeah, and they still want to beat me. And it's funny because the comments that they would say on the side of the road were kind of similar. It's like, oh, good job, you beat the son of Eddie Merckx. I'm like, yeah, great, congratulations. That was some quite high level. There's about some races. There's like, I don't know, way more riders in front of me, and it's like it's just kind of wild. But did you because I mean obviously you end up with Trek and now Trek Factory Racing. You stay, I would say, loyal to them because Trek was one of our title sponsors back then. It was the main funding of a program. Did that influence your decision moving forward because you knew a little bit the background, and did that help over the years as you still are with them and progress into that program?
I think so, and I think also one of those reasons is that we went actually to Waterloo, and that we were really in contact with them. So we were really part of like they always say, the Trek family. And for me, that was being being the development team, but they still put that much effort, and they spending time with us also gives you, I mean, a comfortable feeling, and that they like that you are around, and that they care about the team. And of course, when I started to negotiate to turn professional or going to the world tour, that was one of the things that was like on the plus side, on the pro side, like, yeah, a little bit the guys who are running the company, and there will be also the owner at that time. So it made definitely maybe the difference. Yeah.
Do you remember your first visit in Waterloo?
Yes.
maybe we should still chat into that. Maybe you explain it better than I do. You go ahead and tell Chad what happened.
So they came up with the idea, the hullabaloo in Waterloo, which was the first year, I think, was a 250 or 500 meter. Anyway, it was a sprint on turbos, on trainers, rollers. Yeah. And then it was Trek employees against the team, and of course Axel was also allowed to participate. And long story short, he beat us all. It was nice. I was there with a jet lag, straight from Europe. I actually I think it was the first year that I had to go to the bathroom before the semifinals against you.
That's why I won, because you had to go throw up in the bathroom because of jet lag.
Yeah. It's like indoor, no ventilation, 500 meters, all out sprint. I think it was already the third or the fourth sprint that I had to do, and then I felt. I'm happy that I felt it coming, because if that would have been on the stage, I mean, I think they would be still talking about that.
Yeah, it was that of the eye drops that I put in your wallet right before you were supposed to do the semifinals against me.
Now I know it.
The story comes
but I have to tell that the year after I came back and I won everything. So I was for that I just I went earlier to Austin with Austin to adapt to be sure that the jet lag was not there anymore.
And I wanted to stay on the victory. I didn't participate on that year because I'm like, I know there is no chance. And I still remember how much pain I was in when I did that, and I was like, why am I doing this? I don't really know. But that's kind of funny because I was looking at your Instagram just earlier today, and looked like you guys went back to Waterloo last winter, and you played ice hockey.
Yeah, yeah. We actually we went already twice now back,
Okay.
and then last winter, yeah, Chad Brown came with the idea of taking us to ice hockey, and he set us up with all the equipment. We had to wake up at I think 5, or we had to leave at 5 in the morning to play ice hockey because all the employees are playing it, but they have to start working at I think 8 or 8:20. But yeah, really nice experience. I'm pretty bad at it, but it was just so much fun. And yeah, I mean, I played ice hockey on the Belgium ice hockey field, just having a stick and that's about it. But having the full equipment and yeah, you see the guys there; they are playing it for 25 years and even more. It was worth getting up that early, and it was also nice to be back in Waterloo now, the 4th time actually. So it's nice to see how it's going there, and to come always back there.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's one of the things that Trek and he's doing so well. He's actually keeping the riders and close to the company and the factory. So I'm not surprised, but I was surprised that they would actually allow you guys to do it, because bike riders on skates. I mean, I know how I am on skates, and I live in Canada, and I don't go on ice. So, but playing ice hockey, I think it's a great idea. So, did you bring him a box of chocolate when you went over there?
Actually, they always have been buying or getting the chocolates for when they do Flanders with Trek and some guests, and we have been shipping some chocolates to Trek because they like to give it to all the employees. So it's nice that it's actually once in a while we make a shipment over there. So yeah, I think they know that the chocolates are coming from me.
Yeah, just a little background on the chocolates. I mean, can you tell our viewers or listeners what exactly you're doing and you're getting involved in, and also how this came about? Because like it's not very usual.
Yeah, so my uncle, he had a chocolate factory for a very long time, and then he sold it. And when he wanted to start again, like smaller, really customer based, he asked me if I wanted to jump in because he wanted to start with our family name, Stuyven, and he had been a fan of me as a cyclist since I started, and I had been a fan of his chocolate since I was young. So I like the idea, and of course, chocolate in Belgium, it's I think with beer and French fries, it's one of the big things. So yeah, we started it, and of course, he's running the business, and he is the one who is actually working there. But it's nice. We try to always make a link with cycling, which is working out pretty well. And it's also really nice to see that actually, if I make a good result, we see that that there's more people coming to the shop to buy some chocolates.
Nice. So you're actually the marketing director for the company, and if you win a lot of races, you get a bonus on chocolate, or how's that working?
Yeah, that's a good way. It's a nice title. I'm the marketing director, and we actually had some nice giveaways from chocolate, but I never got bigger bonus in chocolates. I maybe should start thinking about that. But I have to say, I always get my Easter eggs, even if it's 1 or 2 weeks after Easter, because we are still doing Flanders or Roubaix, and I don't have to worry because after Roubaix I always get a lot of Easter eggs.
You should try to get Roubaix or Flanders or some race to make a chocolate trophy, and that be one of the things that they get to take on stage. You should work that out with them.
Yeah, I think E3 or Bing Bank now, they have or they had 1 year like a bike. I don't know. I think it was the year that Greg won it. But I don't know if that was really more art or it was also possible to eat it. I didn't really. I only saw it when we went to sign in. But we did make some like chocolate cobblestones, and I have replicate the trophy. But to give it on stage, then we have to hope for a bad weather day.
I'm thinking the Axe's version of the chocolates. That could be a trend.
We can also do that. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard actually, because our axe is you can cut it out, and if you have the right way to do it or the right shape, should be possible.
One of the most important conversation item that we had with Lawson was all about the axes, and he's still mad that he didn't get the most axes of the year when he was on the team. I think you went up with the most 1 year or no?
I think it was a close call with Joe in 2013. I think I had 13 or 14 axes, but Joe was, I think, just one or two more. I mean, it was a close call. But so Joe, if you don't reply to this, then I claim the victory.
That's funny. I mean, anyway, they would always claim collusion when I give an axe to Jasper, because he's like, oh, you just give him an axe because it's from Belgium, and that's you're biased. And I'm like, okay, Lawson, for sure. It was a fun conversation to have with Lawson, and one of the questions that I had for Lawson is that we all know how close he is from Nate Brown, and they say, who's your favorite rider besides Nate Brown? And he mentioned you, which is kind of cool that you mentioned that you guys were racing against each other as a junior, and then you kind of maintained that friendship beyond our team, and I think that's kind of cool. Do you still keep in touch with other alumni that or maybe even teammates that you haven't been with in the team that you kind of connected with because of the team, or is that something that I know you were like really busy, but is that something
once in a while I'm in contact with Gavin Mannion. He also sometimes is racing with now with Rally at some European races, so it's always surprising that, I mean, if I don't realize that Rally is going to do a race that we are also, then it's like, oh, you're also. Yeah. And, it's nice to catch up. I have to say, Antoine is still one of the good friends, and it's because we were in the team together. Although it was only 1 year, I think we built up a good friendship that we maintained after we both went our ways in the World Tour peloton. So I actually like that. We have spent a lot of time together in all the houses before all the races, which is I think it makes it a more friendship-based team, which I really loved about the team, and it was nice to also keep it going after with some of the guys.
Yeah. I think also one of the benefits that you had by coming to us and away from the sports aspect or the athletics aspect of your development, because I think no matter where you would have gone, you would have ended up where you are. That was no doubt in my mind. But I think you were also able to be yourself once you have that recognition, and in Belgium, it's very difficult to let loose and relax and lay back and to create a little bit of an environment where you can relax, and I think that's one of the main factor also that contributed to your development as a person and beyond, and it's great, and it's fun to hear that you're still involved, and I know you and I still stay in touch on regular basis, and which is kind of cool, and I really cheer for all you guys, but it's really fun. It's really fun to hear. Is that something? Because how old are you now? I can't remember what your age is. 28. I know, 28. So you got still a few years. I mean, we all know the Roubaix and the Flanders and stuff like that, and the stage wins. those are your goals. But what strikes me is that you're unbelievably constant, and besides, you know, a couple dips here and there, you've always been there. You know, you've always been around and roaming around, and it means about already is a huge win this year. I mean, not many races, and you wanted to basically the biggest one. So that's
Yeah.
and that was very impressive, very fun. Is that still what drives you, the strive to catch that big one, or are you going with something more specific?
No, I'm really still trying to get that big one, and yeah, it's always easier said than done when people maybe say, maybe you shouldn't try to be as constant, but just go for that one day. But it's so hard to. I mean, I try to be good at those one days, but yeah, in one way or another, I'm able to perform the whole year around, and always trying to be up there. And I don't feel like it's like that that we really pinpoint like, okay, let's just try to be as good as possible in every race, but never really good. It's just I always try to be at my best at one day races, that I try to go for that one big victory. But of course, when I turned to the world tour, there was high expectations, and I won Kuurne, and then you really think, okay, now it might happen. And yeah, then there's 1 year that you're sick, there's 1 year that you had a crash, there's always something. So you also realize how fast 1 year is gone again. So yeah, to like really sponsor based or value wise, it's always better to don't win anything, but just one big race a year. But for myself, I started to appreciate more and more all the results that I made, because actually Antoine is one of the guys that always is good in making me realize and appreciate like top tens, because he know how hard it is to actually get a result, to make a top 10, because he's a really good domestic, but he never or almost never get the chance to go for his results. And even when he does, it's not always easy. But I remember that he got, I think, a top 10 in the Vuelta, and he was really excited about it. And I mean, he's always good in telling me like, hey, if you can't appreciate the top 10 in a world tour race, you're gonna be disappointed a lot of times. And I'm happy with the high constant level that I am able to achieve. And I'm really confident that even now, I mean, I won Omloop, but that also motivates me and also gives me confirmation that actually I'm still doing the right thing, and I can actually when everything falls into places, that I can take that maybe that even bigger victory.
Yeah. So looking at like obviously this season, and you know, like all of you more than us. I mean, we're cycling fans now, so I mean, especially on the world tour scene, you know, like missing all those Flanders, Roubaix being postponed until the end of the year. How were you able to maintain your focus, motivation, and how do you actually look forward to, you know, those goals that had to be put on hold for a while and then now actually may happen towards the end of the season, and what would be your preparation leading towards it?
Well, it was for a long time, like let's say when the lockdown started in Europe, it was still for another 10 days or 14 days, that was maybe we will still do Flanders and Roubaix. So it was easy to stay motivated and keep going. When those got cancelled, I actually decided for myself to just try and keep going until the day of Roubaix and then take my break, because that would even be possible. I mean, then I would still have a long enough break and build up towards, at that time, Dauphiné and Swiss, which was the hopeful calendar. Of course, for me personally, I got like, let's say, a mental hit when they canceled Tour de Suisse, because for me, that gave like, okay, in June we can actually, or maybe race again. And when they took that away and the tour was also canceled, I was like, okay, it's going to be a while. And yeah, that, but I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy riding the bike in those weeks, but I was definitely happy when there was like more of a calendar, a plan, and when you actually could start planning with the coach, with the team, and everything. And now I'll go in July. I go for another altitude camp, and then it looks like I will be doing Burgos and Poland. Burgos has been like yes or no, so we'll see if that goes or not. And then there's still a nice block between Poland and the Tour, which I maybe will do with another altitude. And then going Tour and the classics, and I will use the weeks between the Tour and the classics to find the right balance between giving some recovery to the body, but also get ready for the cobbles and the short climbs and all that.
Yeah, I mean it's quite interesting because when you look at it from my perspective, you have that huge break. People call it a break in general, but it's not a real break, because as you said, and you said it really nicely, is that as an athlete you always try to work towards a goal, and you like to have those goals because then you know why you're training. Once that was gone and that was taken away, then you're just riding around, and it's either you take a break and you just rest and just let your body recover, or you keep going and just rebuild again. I think the hardest part also is that now this season, if it happens the way it is and will end up in November, like 6 weeks later, it could be back to racing, because it's down under starts again in January if everything goes right, and you start from scratch. So you'll have an 18-month season really, which could be very, very, very draining for the body, babe. I mean, we all know how everybody is eager to go back to racing. Are you actually, when you think about it, the first race, when you guys are going to line up at the start line again, can you imagine how that's going to be? I think they'll start attacking on the way to the start line. So let's go.
Everyone is used to do races on Zwift and all those platforms where it's like even 10 seconds before the start, you have to be pushing already 500 watts or you're far behind. So if you're going to put that into road racing, then we might see developing another way of road cycling. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. But I have to say that I have this, I mean, when we get to the season, and for me, I've been starting quite sometimes in Algarve or in Mallorca, and then you're in training camp, you feel good, and you say, okay, now I can be comfortable, I'm gonna be good, and they come to the race, and every year I think they got more and more crazy. It's just not normal. Everyone is at the high level, and I think it will be exactly the same when we start racing now. Everyone will be ready. Everyone will be as crazy as always, and eager to be in front and show themselves and go for the results. But it will be. I think everyone who loves the racing part is looking forward to that moment that we are back actually fighting and going all out to achieve some nice results.
Jasper, have you had? I'm not sure where are you living right now? Are you in Belgium?
I'm living in Monaco.
Oh, okay. What's your riding outside been like? Did you have an actual lockdown, can't be outside riding, or?
We had a decent lockdown. Not allowed to go outside. Was more or less the same rules that they were following as France. So it was a lot of weeks on the rollers, and it's also one of the reasons that I didn't want to take my break too early, because I didn't want to get into the situation where you have to start again on the rollers. It was actually perfect timing that I kept it going until the week of Roubaix, took a break, and by that time we were allowed to go the first week in Monaco, second week also France to go out, and it was nice to go outside again. It's yeah, you feel that it's going every day on the rollers is yeah, it's also an extra stress that you put on the body. Even, I mean, you do your training, you're happy that you do it afterwards. But I have to say, when I was able to go outside, it kind of also, yeah, I lost a little bit of stress there.
Yeah.
How open are things in Monaco right now? Are things almost back to normal, or?
Tomorrow, which will be the 2nd of June, the restaurants are reopening. But besides that, I have to say everything is yeah, going quite okay. I mean, yeah, you still have to be in line at the bakery, or you can't be more than 2 or 3 in a shop. And of course, you still see everywhere the sign, or you have to put the mask on when you're in the shops. And for a lot of things, you have to take an appointment instead of being able to just walk in, like a haircut, for example. But I have to say, it's yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not as before, but I think it's I mean, everywhere it's a little bit the same, trying to go step by step. And it's enjoyable. I mean, we can go out, the sun is here shining, we can go out for a walk, we can yeah, go normal to grocery shopping. Of course, sometimes when you cross people on the road or in the shop, you think, oh, that was maybe a little bit too close. But you always will have people that are not even thinking about it anymore, and you always have people who will even after it's officially gone, let's say, will be still acting like it's full there. And I mean, that's normal. Everyone is different.
Yeah, you were mentioning, I mean, things are going to change, and things evolve, obviously, based on the health of everybody. But one of the things you were mentioning, trainers and rollers. I mean, I watched you race the lockdown edition, and I watched it on live on the computer, and it didn't look very fun. It didn't look very often that you see people suffering constantly like that and just giving so hard. And what's your thought on that whole?
Well, what surprises me the most is that even after the race, there were still people saying that we didn't go all out. We actually made a group with all the riders, like maybe 1 hour before the race, because, you know, I was texting Eve was texting me, Eve was texting Oliver. Like, you know, we're all like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, are we really gonna go flat out from the start?
Yeah.
And you could feel that everyone was nervous. I was nervous as well. I don't think I have been nervous like that for a very long time. And yeah, which worried me the most was, like, I know that I lose a lot of sweat, so a lot of salt, and yeah, it's not ideal to go all out on rollers. There's no ventilation, and I knew this was gonna, for me, be hard to keep the body not reaching too high temperatures. And then you could see it just, even if everyone was saying, yeah, we will just go tempo, and then the last part we go all out, and then the other guy said, no, let's make a show. The other guy said, oh, why? But at the end we just went all out from the gun. And
surprising.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, even if we would make an agreement, there's always someone who flicks everyone in cycling. And I have to say, I'm happy I only had to do one online or virtual race. I mean, at that time if you see to the viewers, it's impressive, like how many people actually watched the race on TV and streaming it. So I think it was really great for the riders who did it, that they were able to give some return to all the sponsors, which you could also see. I mean, I also put in effort to put the sponsors out and to give them some visibility. But I think also after that, there was a lot of races that at one point I wasn't even aware anymore that they were going. So I don't know if that's really nice if you know that you're 1 hour suffering all out, and it's not really as big as the Ronde van Vlaanderen. But yeah, it's nice to be part of that first virtual race. Do I want to do it again? I prefer not to, but you never know.
Yeah, no, we've done a few Zwift races as a team, just kind of the same idea. I mean, a lower level, obviously, but and you know, I got to be honest, our guys are so frustrated. They are so frustrated because they get. I mean, we barely are able to have a result. You know, like
Yeah.
there's actually guys and riders that are specifically training on the trainer. That's all they do. So they basically becoming professionals on rollers. So there's a whole science behind it, how when to do it and when to ride it and when to use the boost. And I know you guys didn't have that, but you know, on Zwift you have those things, and it's quite impressive, but at the same time it's very frustrating for an athlete that's used to go outside, and then we used to be performing well and racing well, and then you go on Zwift and you see a guy that you never heard the name of, and you're getting dropped like there is no tomorrow. So yeah,
it's actually crazy. I was talking with Louis Vervaken about it, and apparently he's on the Corendon team, Alpecin, so they ride Canyon, and apparently they have really a team that is only doing the Swift races, and they had really team meetings, and they got tips from those racers, how to be good, when to use the boost. Like we would think it's just like, you know, a peak and try to hold the peak as long as possible, but it's apparently there's really tactics, and it's impressive that there's actually a specific market now that you, like you say, there's only guys who only do that, and I can see that it's frustrated that you get beaten by a guy that's you don't even know him, and then you are the one who is at the World Tour level.
Well, the interest was very high in the beginning because everybody was eager to race. So we were like, hey, yeah, I'll do it. And as the weeks go on, you see that the replies start to go downhill a little bit. It's like, yeah, well, no, I was planning on doing a long ride. So do I really have to do that? So, but it was,
I think I would do exactly the same. If they ask me now, that I ask or I tell them that I have a long ride that day and I can't make it. No, but I mean, I think we all realized also that it's important at the time to give the return to the sponsors and try to put them as much as possible out there.
Yeah. So I have to ask, going back a little bit to our program and to the 2 years that you spent with us, what was your favorite memory or your anecdote that you want to share? Because I mean, I'm getting used to find out stories that I don't necessarily know about on these calls right now. So it's kind of interesting to see if you have a specific. It doesn't have to be something I don't know, because that doesn't matter. But it could be a race, it could be training camp, it could be outside of training camp. But what is one memory when you look back at those 2 years that kind of sticks with you?
There's a lot of memories, but a nice story to tell. But I mean, you were there, so you might, or maybe you don't remember it. I remember that I think the first year after California, Tour of California, we went out for some drinks, and it was late, and we came back into the hotel, and we were a little bit too loud, and apparently we woke you up. And you gave us a speech the next day when we went to the airport that we could have fun, but when we get back to the hotel, it needs to be quiet. We cannot wake people up in the hotel, and all of that. So we were like, okay, it's being Axel, being always having fun, but also being the one who tells us what is right and what is not. But then 1.5 months later, when I arrive in Kelowna for Gran Fondo, I remember that I was sharing the room, I think, with Antoine. And he was inside and he had the keys. and you had a lot of drinks that night as well. And I think you screamed the whole hotel together to open up the door so I could go in my room. It's a funny one because it was just close, like just 1.5 months between those moments that you told us we should be quiet when we get back to the hotel. To then seeing you yelling and bonking on the door to almost kicking in the door. So
that was not the story I was looking for.
I think it's a nice one. It's it's
That's
one
funny.
of the things I remember.
I forgot that you came to the grand final here, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I could have told that it was a nice experience to ride the Grand Final. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But,
sure. Yeah. No. You decide to go for this one, but I don't remember that. But that's fine. That was outside of the team. When you're at home, it's different. When you're with the team,
okay.
It's different. At least I didn't have the team clothing on, so I was not representing myself.
Probably not. No. Yeah.
That was good. That was funny. And then you guys went off to go back to Cascade, right? You guys drove down and raced Cascade after that?
Yeah.
Is that when you won the stage, right?
Yeah. I did win a stage in Cascade. Yeah, on a mountain.
Although my brother-in-law tried to persuade him that instead of going back to Cascade, they should go up to Calgary to go to the Stampede and party for a week straight. That was great advice that he trying to give you. So you guys, yeah. We're still talking about it when we talk about Boswell with my brother-in-law. He's like, is he ever going to come and do the Stampede in Calgary? Because I'll take him there. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, I know those are good memories. But it's funny the story that you say, about you making noise and stuff like that. I remember walking into your room and you guys' room and everybody was there. And it was at the end of Tour California, and we had Paris-Roubaix the week after. And so what he doesn't say is that we went to Paris-Roubaix and we got our ass kicked. And I remember saying after Roubaix to those guys, I said, do you really think it was worth it to do that after Tour California when you have 1 week to go to Roubaix and deal with jet lag and all this shit and see what happens when there's times and there's times to do it, and that was probably not the right time, but you have to say the way it is. But good for you to bring up the story when I made the next year. I don't blame you. I do have to say that I had 2 crashes and 2 mechanicals in Roubaix. True. That's so. True. I wasn't that bad that day. No. But yeah. No. Lawson was terrible. That's true. He's not here to defend himself, but he didn't come up with that story. Is Lawson actually the guy that you probably were the closest with during the time with the team and still are, or is that just much of an overstatement? No, I think that's right. I was definitely the closest with Lawson. I mean, I spent some time at his house before the training camps or before some races. So yeah, definitely. And I think now it's still, like I mentioned before, Lawson, Antoine, who I'm still quite close with, which is nice. I mean. Was also nice to go to the wedding of Lawson a few years ago. It was nice to those things that you makes me even more realize that it's more than just racing together. It's really those small confirmations, let's say, of a friendship and being close. Well, that's great to hear. But above all, like I am very thankful that you gave me the chance to help you during your path in your career, and that you gave me the confidence and gave the program a lot of notoriety and exposure, and also the will for other Europeans to come on the team, and everybody contributed to the story of the team, and you for sure are one of the the main ones that helped in making it better. And Jasper is also somebody that is very ambitious. So I had to calm him down quite often during those 2 years, because he always wanted to have more. He wanted to have more support and better results for the team and better results for himself. So he was a great balance between yes, having fun, but also at some point he would gather the troop and like, okay guys, enough fooling around. Now it's time to train, or it's time to get out there and do the hard work. And I think that's a good balance that we were looking for at that time, and that kind of sets the tone for many years. With that, I'm very thankful also for you to take the time to do these calls and to do this with us, and to give back to the program, to be a great ambassador for the program. And obviously we're big fans and cheering for you on all the next 10, 12 years of your career, because I'm sure you're going to keep racing for that long. And I'm looking forward to stop by next time I go in Belgium and to go and try your chocolates. And I'll be looking for the Axes one.
We'll try. We'll start working on those ones. No, I mean I'm happy to be a little bit part of all the evolution of the whole team, and not only I liked it to be in the team, but also personally to be a little bit on my own and learning how life is, let's say, was all like not only on the sports side it made me grow, but also on the personal side, which I really look back to that it was a good move or a good choice that I made at the time. So also thank to you, and I know that I came quite some time for advice, but I also knew that you were there to give some advice, which I still really appreciate.
Cool.
So thank you.
Yeah, it was a win-win for both of us. So
exactly.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Jasper, one more thing before we get off of here. Belgium is obviously known for, well, a lot of things, but 3 things it's known for: beer, frites, and like you mentioned, chocolate. If for the rest of your life you could only keep 2 of those and you could never have the 3rd one, which one gets cut out?
It's actually an easy one for me, because I'm not a big beer lover. So I'll take the chocolates, the French fries, and I'll stick to the wines.
Yeah.
I could never give that one up, but
we're all different.
Exactly. I'll give that one up, and so you can have can have beer.
There you go. Well, thanks a lot, Jasper.
Thanks to you guys.
You take care.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.